things she carried. A piece of cloth strung from ear to ear, covering her once constant smile. As she walked through the aisles of the grocery store, she searched for one specific item, only having to go through rows and rows. She didn't want to use a cart because carts were touched by another person, but carts were also used to keep a safe distance from others. She carried wet wipes in her purse. Over the summer, she learned that she couldn't fit all of her masks, wipes, and hand sanitizer in her pocket, so she needed a vessel to store them in. As she walked through the aisles, she made careful observations. There were markings put in place on the floor, but between the anti-maskers and clueless people, they were rarely followed. She carried the hope for this vaccine that's expected to roll out. She carried the ideas of things returning back to normal by summer and maybe a somewhat normal senior year. She carried a sense of comfort knowing that the loss of lives were going to decrease. She carried appreciation for the frontline men and women working tirelessly to create a sense of normalcy. She carried gratitude. She carried excitement for the thought of a warm embrace after what seemed like ages of loneliness, for a firm handshake at the beginning of a job interview, for seeing a stranger smile as you pass them in the street. She carried laughter. She carried laughter shared throughout her household when someone made a "that's what she said" joke when they're having a family game night. She carried joy as her family sat around the table, which was one of their themed dinner nights, which were hibachi or beach themed. She carried love for them. She carried anger. She carried anger. She carried a sign that stated, "Respect existence or expect resistance," as she marched through the street. She carried disgust at those who turned a blind eye in the face of racism. She carried irritability towards those who thought posting a black square on Instagram was good enough. She carried the fear that our nation's leader was going to pardon racism. Again, she lived through too many things they're going to write about in history books for her lifetime. She carried a year of heartbreak. She carried love. She carried love for those who were struggling with the worldwide pandemic alone. She carried love for those who didn't know where to turn. She reached out to those in need. She carried the acceptance that people were struggling with things she knew absolutely nothing about. She carried strength. She carried strength that she didn't even know existed inside of her. She carried the ability to be resilient while the world crumbled at her feet. She carried the ability to be strong when others couldn't be. Because she was able to carry the extreme moments of love, anger, and joy, she knew she could carry anything.